Hey guys, thanks for tuning back into the podcast. I'm glad you guys are here. I hope no one brings up the fact that I've been gone for a few months. But if you were wondering, I just do this for fun, to share my thoughts when I have them. So I'm not like a professional podcaster that makes any money from this or anything. And I think that's pretty obvious. But yeah, I'm just gonna put out new episodes when I feel like it, when I have the energy to do so. So yeah, I'm not anything close to a public speaker or anything who thinks they actually know things. I'm just a lucid dreamer who has a place to share their thoughts. So if you enjoy listening, that's great. If you don't, great too, that's fine. But I'm back. Hi. Let's not make a big deal about it, okay? But if you're wondering, I'm still making the podcast. I'll definitely do an announcement when I decide to stop making episodes, but for now, I just have it in the background. So I'll come back here and there. I'll still try to put out episodes every month, but no promises, of course. But yeah, thank you for tuning back in and listening. If you're here, I'm glad you are. So yeah, with that being said, let's get into it. This episode is going to be more so about consciousness in general. I guess you could tie it into the dream world if you wanted to, but it's just mostly about like life, death, consciousness, childhood, some funny stories. Yeah. So this is going to be a pretty short episode. It's not about dreaming, but I don't know. I just had like some thought processes that I wanted to share because I thought they were interesting. But yeah, I've been thinking a lot about my childhood recently, and I've heard some of my friends tell me that they can remember a very specific moment in their childhood when they sort of gained consciousness, or they realized that they were like a separate sentient human having its own experience and all that jazz. And this was a really interesting concept to me, that someone could remember the exact moment where they became conscious. Apparently, this is actually a fairly common thing that people claim to experience. But yeah, I've thought about it a lot, and I don't have this moment. Either I don't have it or I don't remember it. But what seems and feels to be more true is that at some level, I've always been aware and conscious as a sentient being. I may not exactly remember being 2 or 3 years old, but I have never really had a moment of realization where I felt consciousness spark up within me, like it wasn't there before and now it is. But I looked this up and I found that there are testimonials to both sides. Some people even claim to remember being born. They recall crying loudly or the pain of being pulled out of the birth canal, but most scientists dispute this and they say that they aren't really recalling this event. While other people who claim to experience this say that this is a very real phenomena, and others say that they even remember being in the womb before being born. And they remember being conscious, having thoughts. But as of right now, current research indicates that people's earliest memories date from around 3 to 3.5 years of age. But now scientists are starting to say memories may begin by around age 2.5. So it's pretty young, but yeah, right now scientists don't believe that you can remember your own birth. But me, I'm open to anything, because when you think about it, lucid dreaming, scientists did not believe that that was a real thing until recently. But they just thought, oh, like people are just saying that. They're not really experiencing that. There must be like some explanation for it, or like some sort of mental disorder, or like misremembering, which is what they're saying here. Like they're just misremembering it, or like these people are just making crazy claims when we just don't have the technology to test for this and to prove that it's true. We don't have that technology yet. Like they say that this isn't real when like in reality they just can't prove it to be true. Yet. Keyword. But the scientists said, literally, this straight up, this shit doesn't exist. It's just not real. And then all of the sudden, when they were able to prove it, like the second that they could actually test it, they're just like, oh, our bad. Sorry, it's been real all this time. And like people were probably like institutionalized for being passionate about lucid dreaming or like openly talking about their experiences because it's not proven yet in science. But what the fuck does that mean? Like we don't know shit about shit. Like most of the stuff that we believe is like that is scientifically proven right now is probably not even true. I'm just gonna leave that there. It just reminds me of like the fucking shit when the philosophers are like, oh, actually the earth isn't flat, it's round, and this is how I know. And they're literally burned at the stake for it. Or like when I don't know what his name was, I'm not gonna look it up right now, but that one guy was like, oh yeah, the universe actually doesn't revolve around the earth, we revolve around the sun, like sorry. And the Christians are like, kill him. Like that's blasphemy. And like now obviously that's just something that we know to be true, and people died over it. And obviously now no one's dying over this, but still there are scientists out there claiming to say that they know the truth. I don't claim to know the truth either, but I'm saying that this shit is intriguing and we should be looking at it with an open mind. That's all I'm saying. And that's like the point I try to make in every single episode is that, of course, people are going to try to tell you that your experiences are invalid when they just haven't experienced that before. They don't know what the fuck you're talking about or where the fuck you're coming from. Like, it's impossible for them to fathom what it would be like because they haven't experienced it. Like, if I had never had a lucid dream, I probably wouldn't believe that it was possible back in the day. Nowadays, like anything goes. Like nothing would surprise me anymore. But moral of the story is just because someone thinks that they know things doesn't mean that they do. And this applies to everyone, myself included. So I just think it's interesting talking about it, but it's even more interesting like thinking about it and thinking that if this is true, what else could be true and what could this lead to? Or if, like, on the other side, where people remember the exact moment where consciousness sparked up within their body, what could that mean if that were true? Does that mean that your soul, like, literally came into your body at 2 years old when you had that experience? What does that mean? Because when people are telling me this, it sounds like they're saying that there was no consciousness before there. They were not a sentient being. There was not like they were just, I don't know how to explain it because I didn't go through it, but there was nothing inside basically. They were just like a body that was going through the motions and like living off of their innate abilities. And then at some point there was a light switch, a spark, and all of a sudden there was this consciousness within their body and they were living in it. And yeah, that sounds pretty crazy and intense to me for like a little kid to experience. Like I said, I never had this moment in my childhood, so I can't relate to it, but it sounds really interesting to me. And yeah, I'm just trying to learn more about it. So that's what this episode is about, just like putting these thoughts out there. And yeah, I don't know. I'm probably gonna change this subject now because I don't have much to say about that. But I just thought it was really fucking interesting. So yeah. But yeah, that sounds like kind of a crazy thing for a kid to go through, like I said. And it got me thinking about one of the other big existential things that kids go through, which is learning about and understanding what death is and that everything goes through it. It's inevitable. And the relationship kids have with death, and this relationship, it starts at such a young age, and everyone has it, and everyone's relationship with it is different. And I always heard growing up, all the younger kids were like really afraid of death, and they were almost like fixated on it, like fixated upon the realization that everything comes to an end, and it's coming for us all. And I thought that it was kind of funny because thinking about this made me go back to my childhood and think of what my first kind of experience with death was and my introduction to it. And I thought it was kind of funny because, first of all, I was lucky enough to only have like pets pass when I was young. Like that was my first introduction to it. It wasn't a family member passing. It was like my frog or like my hamster, like not even my dog. Like my childhood dog passed when I was a teenager. But yeah, when I was really young, I didn't have much experience with death. And my mom, she's gonna hate me for telling this story, but she raised me devoutly Christian, and she told me that, when we die, it's actually not a really bad thing. It's not super bad because our spirits get to go to heaven and our bodies stay here, but our spirits are everlasting and they get to go and live in heaven, and heaven is like way better than earth, and there's no struggles, no troubles. You can have anything you want there, and the streets are literally paved with gold. And so, of course, my 7-year-old mind is like, well, what the fuck? Why am I here right now? Why would I even go through the trouble of all of this shit when I could just be chilling with J-Dog on his throne in heaven? And I remember like super vividly going to take the trash out, and I was in the garage at like 7 years old, loving the simple, easy fucking life that I had with no problems yet. And that I just stopped and I was like, what if I just, trigger warning, what if I just killed myself right now? And I could be in heaven, and it would be so cool, and it would just be better for everyone. It would be great. And so I walked in the house and I told my mom what I wanted to do, and she told me that I would go to hell if I did that. So after that, I was like, okay, definitely can't do that because hell is bad and I'll burn alive forever. But I really believed that, y'all, and I'm pretty sure she still does too after all these years. But yeah, I don't know where I was going with this story or what point I was trying to make, but I guess what you can take away from this is that religion can really fuck kids up in a way that we can't really expect will happen, but that shit sticks with you for your whole life and for generations and in your family's fucking DNA if you don't heal that shit. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that. I'm not gonna tell another fucked up story about my childhood, but I thought that was really funny. And yeah, we're talking about death, so might as well bring up my experience and my first introduction to death. And since we're talking about like weird thought processes that we have when we're kids, I thought it would be good to bring up this other thought that I would have all the time when I was a kid. And I'm sure that I'm not alone in thinking this way, but I remember having the very specific thought process when I was in like third or fourth grade or something, definitely elementary school, like I was young. But I would go into these deep thought processes of realizing that I don't really know who I am. And I knew that my whole life and pretty much all of who I was built by other people. And like the only reason that I said anything I said or did anything I did, liked anything I liked, acted the way I acted was because my mom shaped me. She molded me into who she wanted me to be. I went to Catholic school growing up, and all of the administrators were telling me what I needed to be, how I needed to look, etc. All of my friends are telling me how to act and what to like and how to be funny and how to be accepted. And I never actually knew what was me and what was real and what I was just doing to fit in and make people like me. I was a people pleaser, and I still am, but I've gotten a lot better about it. But yeah, I had this like very deep knowing that that's what was happening in my childhood, and that people were like consciously trying to shape me as well and fit me into this box that I did not fit in or belong in at all. And I couldn't tell where I needed to be, but I knew that this wasn't who I was. This wasn't who I am. And I knew that I needed to find that, but I was really scared. And this is like my fourth grade mind. And yeah, I went through life like that, having those thoughts of I'm just made up of all the things around me. And I was never really sure what was me, what was someone else. And, this showed up as like masking and mirroring the people around me. And this would always pop into my mind. Like it started in like third, fourth grade, but it continued into middle school, into high school. And like fast forward to high school when I found cannabis and psychedelics, and that sort of unlocked a door for me, and it clued me in to who I really was, like when literally everything was stripped away, who I was before I was born into this life and who I will be after. And that gave me peace of mind and the courage to actually step into myself and start living my own life, because I knew that this life is just temporary and I'm going to waste it if I don't follow who I truly am and discover who I truly am throughout this life. So I'm not going to get into that, but that's kind of what unlocked the shackles, basically, and let me experience who I actually am. And sometimes I'll still think of it, but there was a moment when I realized that the only way to come out of this and realize who I actually am was to trust myself and to listen to myself and to like really feel what I'm feeling. And not going to go deeply into this, but I was always a floater, and I'm not a social person. I'm pretty antisocial, but I was always part of all of the social groups in high school, and everyone got along with me. I got along with everyone. And I'm like, am I just an actor playing a part in the game of life? Like, who am I actually? Because it's literally impossible to know. And I always had this idea from a really young age. And only now am I starting to really feel like I'm not the actor anymore. Like I'm actually myself. But still, everyone is an actor. We're on fucking Earth. We're playing this game together and we're all acting. And I think that's why I had that thought. And we are like the result of the people around us. And that's just what life is. And if some of you aren't exactly sure what I mean, beyond regular masking and molding, I'm talking about these sort of karmic roles that we play, and we all play them. They're roles of the victim, the accuser, the abuser, the scared, the hero, the helpless, the lover, the loved, the violent, the weak, the strong, the teacher, the student, the broken, the healed, etc., etc. It goes on and on and on. We play these karmic roles for ourselves and for each other, and we are giving and receiving trauma and healing time and time again. life after life, and it's all intertwined with everyone else's journey, endlessly connected. We're all growing and changing and molding and shifting through this pressure which creates the diamond. This is the alchemy of the soul, and it's a process that happens over countless lifetimes, maybe forever, I don't know. But these are just my thoughts, and over time I've come to really trust in my soul that this is true, or at least the shape of this is true. And honestly, believing it helps me sleep a lot better at night, knowing that those who really wronged me and all the childhood trauma and regular trauma I've been through is for a specific reason and a specific purpose. And I am meant to go through those things, and the perpetrators aren't truly evil at their core, as sick as whatever they may have done may be. And as weird as it is to say, they actually are doing me a favor when looking at it from an extreme bird's eye view. Even if something seems like you can never get past it because it's so big, it will make you into a better person in the long run. And it will be hard, but you will get through it. And a lot of the times you might have to hit rock bottom before finding that strength to pull yourself through. And sometimes it takes a long time to hit rock bottom, but the moral of the story is that you will get there. You will get through it. We are all one collective consciousness of evolution together. And right now, since we're on this topic, we're actually in a time in history called the Kali Yuga, which is basically a time where all karmic debt resolves itself, which is probably why everything is so crazy right now collectively. And I'm sure, I don't know, this is just my experience, but the Kali Yuga also reflects on each individual life too. It's not just this global karmic timeline. All of the karmic debts are getting resolved, and the whole karmic timeline is kind of playing itself out, and it's at a climax right now. So that might be why there's a lot of crazy stuff happening right now. But yeah, that was a bit of a tangent. I just wanted to kind of explain why I was going on that acting tangent, beyond just the basic acting roles that we play in our day-to-day life and characters that we put on or whatever. There is something way deeper at play, where it's all intertwined and we're all playing our very specific role to either help or hurt someone, and it's not an evil thing. It's all in the name of evolution, basically. I don't know why I'm even explaining this right now. This episode is just a mishmash of random thoughts I've been having this past week. So I hope you enjoyed, and I hope it wasn't too convoluted. But yeah, next week I'll be back with an actual episode. But yeah, I just had to get some stuff out and tell you that I am not a public speaker. I'm just telling you guys my thoughts. And sometimes it sounds really calculated because these things, I'm just learning about them, just like you guys. And I'm not a scholar, okay? I'm just a lucid dreamer who has their own experiences, and I want to share them. Yeah, this episode wasn't about dreaming, but I just needed something to get back into the game. So hopefully you enjoy. Thanks for listening. And I will be back soon. I won't disappear for another few months. At least not now. I might in the future, but bye. Oh yeah, and also fuck the audio quality. I think in the first episode I said, oh, I promise I'll get better for you next time, or I don't know what I said, but I am not fixing the audio quality. Maybe if someone wants to donate some money for me to get a new microphone or something. But yeah, I don't really give a shit right now. I'm just doing this for my own benefit at this point. And yeah, if you find this as a useful resource, I'm so happy. That's awesome. But yeah, I'm not gonna stress myself out over this. So yeah, I hope you enjoy. And I hope that the audio quality is fine because it's not getting better. So there's that. Every like other episode, I'll switch in between like plugging in my Apple headphones into my phone and recording with those headphones, and then just recording straight into my shitty Samsung phone speaker. So if you hear like a slight different like audio quality between the episodes, that's why. If one of them's better, tell me which one, because I can't tell. That it sounds different to me, but I can't tell which one's better. So yeah, audio quality isn't going uphill anytime soon, but yeah, thanks for listening to the episode, and I hope y'all are living life, trying not to be too much of an actor, but hate to break it to you, that's what this is. So yeah, be yourself. I'll talk to you later. Bye.